Lunchtime news begins right now from wherever you're watching us from. This is the great KBC. You're just in time for KBC Lunchtime News. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. My name is Njue, and my colleague on the sign language interpretation is Lucy Mwaura. The president continues his trip and visit and tour of Nairobi, and we'll be crossing over to know exactly what he's doing in Dagoretti. But that's a little bit later. We start with the recent heavy rains, where the Kenya Red Cross has issued an urgent call for residents living along the River Tana and other lowland areas in Garissa County to move to higher grounds as the long rain seasons begin. The warning comes as the region prepares for potential flooding, which has caused significant damage in previous years.
Speaking when he flagged off trucks carrying essential relief items, including food and animal feed, to assist communities in need, Hassan Musa, the Kenya Red Cross Northeastern Region head, emphasized the importance of residents moving to safer areas ahead of the rains. Musa urged residents to remain vigilant and prepared as the rainy season begins, highlighting the importance of timely assistance to mitigate the impacts of floods and droughts. In addition to the distribution of relief items, including tents, the Kenya Red Cross also organized a simulation exercise to train the community on how to respond to emergencies like floods and accidents. Maria Ambo reporting for the Lunchtime News.
A row is brewing between the Kiambu County Assembly and the executive over the implementation of policies enacted by the ward representatives. A section of the MCAs is accusing the governor of losing touch with the legislation process and failing to double down on vices such as alcohol abuse. Ngenda Ward MCA Joe Kegara says despite the assembly passing various amendments, the governor has failed to sign them into law.
Kitu ikitokea barabarani, tusichukue sheria mkononi mwetu. Tuhakikishe ya kwamba hata huyo mhalifu tumkamate, tuwapatie maafisa wa usalama ili watusaidie kwa uchunguzi. Tunatakiwa tupatie nafasi. Sheria iko, atapata adabu kulingana na vitendo vyake. So na waomba ya kwamba tuwajane maneno ya kuchukua na sheria mkononi mwetu, tushike mhalifu, watupatie habari ili tuweze kupata wale wengine na tuangamishe uhalifu katika area yetu.
I do apologize for that mix-up in those tapes, but we will revisit that story in a bit. Residents of Chakol South in Teso, South Busia County have been warned against taking the law into their own hands after a recent incident where a police vehicle was burnt by locals in the area. Teso South Deputy County Commissioner John Kichwen, who was presiding over the coronation of Olepito Assistant Chief Ruben Ekea, urged the locals to work closely with the law enforcement agencies to enhance security in the area. Let's revisit the Kiambu story, where a row is brewing between the Kiambu County Assembly and the executive over the implementation of policies enacted by the ward representatives. A section of the MCAs is accusing the governor of losing touch with the legislation process and failing to double down on vices such as alcohol abuse. Ngenda Ward MCA Joe Kegara says despite the assembly passing various amendments, the governor has failed to sign them into law.
do not have any differences, or we are not bringing it because of any particular member of county assembly or the governor or CEC. We are just addressing issues that are still pending as far as the constitution is concerned. And we are the ones who end up answering questions when we go to Mashinani to answer from Wanjiko why they are still being charged rates which are obsolete, because as we speak, many counties or many sub-counties are still being charged the old rates as per 2016, and they are not constitutional because we have not seen the Gazette notice, or we don't know whether that bill has been assented to. So
to education matters now, where over 100 Form 2 students at Chania Girls High School in Thika, Kiambu County have transitioned to new modern classrooms, bringing to an end to a tough year of studying in tents due to overcrowding. The new classrooms were constructed with the support from the Thika NGCDF office. Parents, teachers and students expressed their gratitude for the new facilities. They also stressed the need for continued infrastructure development, particularly in the area of technology.
Teaching in tents has not been very interesting, particularly because the location of the tents was near the road. So sometimes it was a bit dusty, a bit of noise even from the roads. But somehow the teachers managed to take the girls through the lessons. Our most urgent need for now is a computer lab, because our current lab is small. We only have about 30 computers. In all our classes, we have more students than we have computers.
We are assured that our kids are going to do well. It has been a long journey, a journey of patience, a journey of resilience, but we really thank God.
And a section of families of the 148 victims of the Garissa University terror attack in 2015 are urging the government to comply with the court ruling that ordered them the compensation for the affected families. Lydia Namisi and Mzee David Wekesa from Bungoma County, who lost their children in the attack, also urged the government to establish a memorial monument to honor the fallen students as the 10th anniversary of the tragedy approaches on April the 2nd, 2025.
Near the commemoration of the 10th anniversary, just on behalf of the parents who lost their children in Garissa, I would like to encourage the government. The courts made a ruling that those parents should be compensated. So just on behalf of those parents, I would like to beg the government to make true what the courts made as a ruling and compensate those parents for those lives lost.
Ilipe mimi pesa yenye serikali ilitoa shilingi milioni 3 na mimi sijapata.
Itakuwa ni nafuu kwa serikali kutufikiria na kuweza kutupatia hela hizo, ingawa haiwezi kumrejesha mtoto wetu, haiwezi kumpa uhai, lakini itakuwa ni kitulizo kwa roho zetu.
Now, a 35-year-old man who chopped off his genitals while under the influence of drugs is seeking help to undergo reconstructive surgery. The man, who hails from Merti area of Isiolo County, was admitted to the local rehabilitation center. And according to Collins Shaban, a psychiatrist at the center, it is the second such case that the facility has handled in 1 year. The doctor warned that without reconstructive surgery, the victim is at a high risk of falling back into depression once he fully recovers mentally.
So mimi naomba kama kuna msamaria mwema kama mimi ama mwenye hii story itamgusa, Mungu atatulipa, hata kama sisi binadamu, hata kama sio hakuna kitu tunahusiana na yeye, kuna ubinadamu, kuna utu.
Able to stabilize the client. We've put him on medication for the substance use disorder, and treatment is going on well with him. He's progressing well to medication. He has started realizing himself, and at most times he's asking about what happened to his part. On the drug test that we conducted, he was abusing mirror, he was abusing bang.
And away from that, journalists have been urged to adhere to journalism ethics when reporting to avoid the publication of fake news. However, stakeholders have been urged to support journalists by providing timely and factual information, with bloggers urged to fact-check information before publishing it. Speaking after a journalist training in Busia Town, Kenya Bloggers Association representative Kennedy Kachwanya also asserted the need to support journalists from rural areas who mostly face internet challenges.
Transparency that is needed, especially those who are in the public authority, those who have this information, ensure that the media people have the required information at the right time. There's a big challenge in terms of the misinformation, and now when you add into the technologies, especially the AI, we have the issue of deepfake, for example, where something can be attributed to someone.
Very well, and before we do business, let's take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more news, including the latest from the world of sports, the latest being Liverpool are out of the Champions League. More details after the break.
Current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports,
drama. We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Mshtakiwa, nifahamishe majina yako kamili.
Kwani hiyo wakati yote tumekaa hapa hivi umeniita majina, haujachua hata jina yangu hata saa hii mwenyewe. Who is receptionist?
Ni mimi.
Ni rest in peace.
Nani ya rest in peace?
Sorry, my condolences mheshimiwa.
Wewe unaongea nini? The nini?
Ni wewe naongelesha
wewe. Ongea kile unaelewa, wacha kutupotezea wakati.
Nikisema kwamba huyu ndiye alitoka na hizo vitu ndani ya room, nitafanya sema ni wangu mheshimiwa. Nilikwambia kesi ni ngumu. Nilikwambia hiyo karatasi imepikwa warning kani.
Mtu asiende na follow boss kwa room yake. Lakini maanishi wewe ufuate follow boss.
Shut up. I'm talking. So, what are you looking for me? What are you looking for me?
Mimi anatafutia wewe nini?
Zote na salamu zimfikie.
Ibada ambayo ni rahisi sana katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani ni kufunga. Ndio ibada nyepesi zaidi kwa sababu unasusia tu chakula, japo njaa huwa na ugumu wake. Lakini kuna mambo mengine ambayo ni magumu zaidi kuliko kushinda bila kula.
Idha dakhala Ramadan, pindi Ramadhani inapokuwa ni yenye kuingia, futihat abwabul janna, milango ya janna Allah huifungua milango yote 8 kwa ajili yetu sisi. Milango 8 inafunguliwa kwa ajili yetu sisi. kwa sababu ndani ya mwezi wa Ramadhan baraka nyingi zina
Nilienda tu nikaambiwa umepatikana na shtaka, umeshtakiwa na shtaka la kuiba, stealing by servant. Umeiba mali ya kampuni ambayo unafanya kazi, you are not untrustworthy. Unakubali, unakataa. Remand, I stayed 1 full year without proceeding with the case. During the corona period 2020 2021 court session were not proceeding.
Kuinja baada ya kutoka watu walikupokea vizuri?
Huko nilipokelewa na huyo mchungaji. Wengine walikuwa wananikataa, hata wengine wanasema even my relatives, wengine wanasema huyu ni mtu mbaya huyu sasa, because they knew me as a pastor.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutaangazia kuhusu ufugaji wa mbegu za samaki.
Usiweke akili sana kwa kutafuta white collar jobs. Mtu anaweza anza kama sisi wenye tulianza na locally available. Ni nini iko? Tuanze na hiyo yenye iko hapo. Then ukishaanza usikufe moyo kwa sababu vitu hazikuangi zote straight. Kuna mahali zitaenda zikue vibaya. Ikikuwa vibaya, endelea na kuangalia ni solution gani unaweza fanya ndio vitu ziendelee kuwa mzuri.
Kisha tuone jinsi ya kuwapa wakulima mafunzo mwafaka ya ufugaji na kilimo. Usikose kujumuika nami Francis Ngala siku ya Jumamosi saa 10:30 upate mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Utaki nini? Umesahau I'm the last thing standing between wewe na jela.
Yani na unajua ni mdingo na unakaa naye. Mimi na Alex tutakuwa rich. Hata na Nanika tutahamia Diani.
Achana na huyu. Ni mkora tu kama Teresia.
We make a very good couple.
I hope sijarokia mapema sana. Sasa una feel aje?
Hivi mambo tu ya uzee.
Unajua you can talk to me about anything.
Just leave me alone.
Tulia, Jen.
Jen, ni nini? Niko sawa. Mbona kusema uko sawa? Uko sawa, mbona uko sawa?
What will you do?
Are you guys okay?
No, we're just catching up with Pete.
Welcome back. Time to make sense of shillings and cents in business. Women professionals have been urged to mentor young girls in pursuing careers in traditionally male-dominated fields such as finance, legal, engineering, manufacturing, and technology to help bridge the gender gap in these industries. Leaders at water and energy solutions provider Davies and Shatliff Women in Leadership Initiative highlighted the stark underrepresentation of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM careers.
Study reveals that only 35% of students enrolled in STEM-related courses in Kenya are women, with just 14% in natural sciences and 13% in engineering. Employers in STEM fields have been urged to implement policies that promote equal opportunities for women and eliminate workplace biases.
Now, those of you who are engineers, and I know there are quite a few here, you would know that in a class of 100, if you get 3, there are many, 3% thereabout. And so with that very thin pipeline, we have taken a very stern affirmative action that for every interview that we are holding, there must be ladies. And we are not giving them these positions because we are doing them a favor or because they're the weak agenda. That's a dirty word for us, weak agenda. We give them because they rightfully deserve and they have delivered.
Industry leaders remain optimistic that Kenya's competency-based curriculum will help close the gender gap. Under the CBC, 60% of students entering grade 10 will be placed in STEM courses, with the remainder in arts, sports, science, and social sciences.
I like the choice of the phrase sustainable solutions. For it is not enough to meet one day like we're meeting today, propose beautiful solutions like we will do in a short while, record them in a glossy report that is stored away until the next International Women's Day event of 2026. It is not about ticking boxes. It is about the continuous and incremental steps that we continue to take towards gender parity.
Davies and Shadliff's Women in Leadership initiative has been at the forefront of fostering gender inclusivity. The program pairs senior female staff with mentees, leveraging storytelling as a powerful tool to inspire and nurture leadership skills. Betty Kiptum, Lunchtime News.
To another story tied to STEM, the private sector has been challenged to intensify efforts to break down the cultural and institutional barriers preventing women and girls from pursuing careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields STEM. Women in Tech Global Africa Regional Director Melissa Slymaker say there are systematic gender gaps in STEM despite significant progress in other areas of gender equality.
International organizations have long emphasized the need to eliminate the obstacles that affect women and girls in science-related disciplines. Barriers including entrenched stereotypes, lack of mentorship, gender bias, and insufficient institutional support have plagued Kenya's inclusion for women in STEM. Speakers during the Women in Tech Africa Summit emphasized the importance of collaboration between the government and private sector to accelerate change.
And just really creating opportunities for the future for our children. So by working in partnerships, we create projects like building learning centers in these rural spaces. We build IT hubs in schools.
For organizations that are already working with young girls and women in any capacity, it doesn't have to be in the technology capacity. Please join us. Let's partner to see how we can continue to accelerate action, but also drive forward the mission.
To accelerate progress, experts are advocating for increased investment in early education programs that challenge stereotypes, as well as corporate commitments to gender equality at all levels.
We are committed to the Women in Tech sponsorship. We've been running this for a couple of years across the African continent. We continue promoting the Girl Code program, which is also a Women in Tech program that promotes coding at a learning and developmental stage.
Frederick Muki for Lunchtime News.
Very well, time for our second break, but when we come back, still have more news. Keep it to Channel 1. In Lumumba Estate, hustle is survival.
When a loved one's lost,
what is this good for nothing miscreant doing here?
One estate chairman managing a chaotic estate group.
Catch these exciting shows only on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV channel 163 and GoTV channel 3.
Ravali, backpass chance, goal! Cote d'Ivoire are back in the game!
The FIFA World Cup 2026 Africa qualifiers match schedule is up for match day 5. In Group F, the Gambia will host Harambee Stars on Thursday, the 20th of March from 10 p.m.
Shown, and which may show here. And yes, the breakthrough's there for Kenya.
Catch the action live from Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, live and exclusive. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back. Moving on, the government will invest an initial 200 million shillings for the operationalization of the Savings and Credit Cooperative Organization Fund. Cooperatives Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya says cooperatives will be mandated to contribute to the fund for sustainability. Once operationalized, the fund will be used to compensate SACCO members in case where their savings societies collapses.
Cooperatives should be able to organize themselves. So there will be a premium which will be determined by SASRA to be put in that fund. But the government is going to put in a startup fund of about 200 million to start the fund initially, set up the structures, have the staff, have the offices, but thereafter, now the cooperatives themselves should be able to contribute some little money, some levy, to be able to manage that particular fund. Building a vibrant private sector where government is only overseeing or supervising. We do not want to police cooperative movement. We want to provide an enabling environment for them.
Now, women entrepreneurs in Mombasa have been urged to take advantage of the Access to Government Procurement Opportunities AGPO program to secure business deals with the national and county governments. Speaking at a sensitization forum, Women in Development Executive Director Betty Sharon emphasized the importance of financial independence for small and medium enterprises owned by women, youth, and persons with disabilities.
Tukiungana na hizi maofisi ya trade and culture, ofisi ya gender, ofisi ya mama county, tunaweza kuokoa wale wakina mama wanafanya biashara ya chini, wale wanaume ama wale wako kwa wale elite.
Kuna senti zitatengwa ambazo zile senti kina mama watakuwa wanakwenda for women empowerment. Watakuwa wanakwenda wanapata zile senti, wanafanya ile biashara wanayotaka.
Kuna pavements. Usiweke bidhaa kwa pavement, manake pavement ya watu kutembelea. Hapo ndio unaona watu wanaanza kusukumana na kufukuzana na county inspectorate. Kwa sababu pale ni pale pa kutembelea. Mtu akitembea kwa barabara atagongwa na gari. Kuna sehemu haturuhusu wachuuzi pia kukua ama hawkers.
Further afield, President Donald Trump has walked back on his threat to double U.S. tariffs on Canadian steel and metal imports to 50% just hours after announcing them. However, the 25% tariffs will still go into effect starting March the 12th. The decision follows a move by the Canadian province of Ontario to suspend newly imposed 25% charges on electricity exports to some North American states. Details of this and other stories in the news from other parts of the world.
Again in Donald Trump's trade crosshairs, facing a new 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium starting Wednesday. In response, Canada has called the move unjustified and announced $30 billion in retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has introduced a 25% charge on electricity exports to the U.S., but has now suspended it, saying negotiations need a cooler approach. Trump, in a social media post, suggested Canada should become the 51st U.S. state to eliminate tariffs altogether. Meanwhile, China's first commercial spacecraft launch site is set for more missions after successfully launching 18 low Earth orbit satellites. The launch aboard the Long March 8 Y6 rocket confirms the site's dual-pad readiness and future operations. Yang Teliang, president of the Hainan International Commercial Aerospace Launch Center, says the site aims for 30 launches per year, with expansion plans set to boost capacity to over 60 by 2026. Built in just 878 days, the site marks a new era for China's commercial space industry, opening more opportunities for more space exploration. Finally, Tesla is facing backlash in Australia as sales drop and dealerships are vandalized following CEO Elon Musk's growing ties to Donald Trump. Australian Tesla owner Dick Friend once A loyal customer is selling his stock and won't replace his wrecked car, citing Musk's political stance. Tesla sales in Australia have fallen 35% since Trump's election, with similar declines in Europe. In Tasmania, a Tesla dealership was vandalized with anti-Musk graffiti. Meanwhile, Trump has condemned the attacks, calling them domestic terrorism, while selecting a new Tesla for White House staff. Sylvia Gatti reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now, the number of women represented in boardrooms has reduced to 35% from the previous 36%. This has been caused by gender stereotyping and patriarchal structural norms that continue to be stacked high against women in the society. And a report by the Kenya Institute of Management, Board Diversity, Equity and Inclusion is urging companies to implement policies that address gender pay gaps and promotion processes, as well as developing internal gender action plans.
Let us start with access to exactly the same opportunities. When you change the decision makers at the table, you change the decisions that are made.
Diversity must go beyond gender. It must extend to age, ethnicity, ability, professional background, and lived experiences.
Chief guest to have a seat.
In other news, security agencies in Samburu County have issued a warning to individuals involved in the illegal trade of sandalwood in an effort to protect the country's forest and curb the illegal trade that threatens local ecosystems. During a special court session at Mararal police station, the authorities destroyed over 1 ton of illegally transported sandalwood, which was nabbed in the Odokojek area of Samburu West following a tip-off from locals in the area. Officials from the Samburu County Forest Commission reaffirmed their commitment to collaborating with security agencies and local communities to help curb the destruction of the country's forests.
I would like to give warning to the smugglers of sandalwood here in Samburu that their days are numbered, and we shall do everything that is possible to ensure that we eradicate the destruction of forests in Samburu.
Tutakuwa tunashirikiana na kotini na uamuzi itakuwa inatoka tu hapo instantly. Vile hii mahakama imefanywa hapa police station ilikuwa mobile.
Baada ya kupokea ushahidi huo kotini, ili kuepusha uwezekano wa ithibati hiyo kurudi sokoni kinyume cha sheria, ithibati hiyo yani exhibit hiyo imetwaliwa na serikali na imeweza kuharibiwa kwa kuchomwa kwa moto.
Elsewhere, the government is working towards formulating policies to address the demographic shifts arising from the rapid population growth. Speaking during the official opening of the Kenya Population and Development Conference in Nairobi, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Badi said the population issues are complex, saying the government has so far adopted a multi-sectoral approach to address the population challenges. He further said the government has made significant progress in improving the population and development indicators.
This theme of the conference provides us with an invaluable opportunity to share knowledge as we reflect on the nexus between population and development especially at this critical juncture when our country continues to experience a high population growth. It is worth noting that a large population is not necessarily bad. Larger populations contribute to larger workforce, which spurs economic expansion and promotes sustainable development.
So we are thinking we should have a center where other African countries or even other nations can come and learn. So the Center of Excellence is a center of excellence that will be using data, analyzing data, that will be using the digital technology, that will be doing modeling, that will be doing projections, and this will be within the NCPD itself. But a section of NCPD will be having that Center of Excellence, and where now we want to, either from the counties and other nations, to come and learn on how to plan for population, do projections, and do further analysis on population matters.
Internally displaced persons in Homa Bay County have urged the government to fast-track their compensation process following the recent working agreement between President William Ruto and Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga. Speaking on behalf of the affected families, their representatives Kennedy Odira, Harrison Ochieng, and Jacob Nyumba decried the difficult living conditions they have endured for years with limited access to basic services and sustainable livelihoods. The IDPs were displaced during the 2007 post-election violence and are hopeful that the newfound political unity will create a conducive environment for addressing their long-standing grievances.
Saa hii sisi tuko na imani ile pesa ambayo tumeongoja kwa wakati, najua saa hii tunaweza kufikia. Kwa sababu gani? Raila amekubali kuungana na Ruto.
Tunaomba kama IDPs wale walinusurika wakati ya vita ile ilipita ile ya 207 watukumbuke, ili wale waliona shida wapate namna ya kuinuliwa.
Migori County Government, in collaboration with the Ministry of Water and Sanitation and the World Bank, have launched a 4-year water sanitation and hygiene program, K-Wash. Speaking during the launch, the project coordinator from the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, Julius Coril, noted that the initiative, which is expected to be implemented in over 15 counties, intend to address poor sanitation, water scarcity, and open defecation, hence improving the living standards of the residents. These sentiments were echoed by Migori County Governor Ochilo Ayako, who promised to support the transformative initiative for the benefit of the community.
And this is feeding into the National Water Sanitation and Investment Plan, what we call the NAWASIP. The NAWASIP had been costed that the country needs around 998 billion, that is close to 1 trillion, to be able to have universal access to water and sanitation services across the county.
Is a program that is result-based. The program seeks to ensure that we have relevant projects that address sanitation needs, address water needs and our health needs.
National volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, will face Poland, Germany and Vietnam in Group G of the 2025 FIVB Women World Championship, to be held from the 22nd of August to the 7th of September in Thailand. The draw for the 32 qualified teams was held in Bangkok in readiness for the tournament that has so far attracted 32 teams.
The selection process for players who will form the Malkia Strikers team to the FIVB World Championship began this month, just 5 months to the global event set to be held in Thailand. The selection will include new talented young players who will team up with experienced players and is expected to be completed 2 months before the tournament to give the young players enough time to train for the global event. Malkia Strikers have been pulled in Group G together with Poland, Germany and Vietnam. The other two African teams in the competition, Egypt and Cameroon, have been pulled in Group A and H respectively. Egypt will play hosts Thailand, Netherlands and Sweden, while Cameroon will face Japan, Serbia and Ukraine. Meanwhile, the KVF Kenya Cup first edition will resume tomorrow to 16th of this month at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. There will be only one women match to be played tomorrow, pitting Kenya Prisons against Postbank, which will serve off the games tomorrow at the arena before 4 other men's matches are played. In the men's matches set for tomorrow, GSU will face APK, Kenya Army will play KPA, Chema Volleyball will face Trailblazers, while Kapu face Kenya Prisons.
And across borders, the remaining 4 slots in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League will be filled tonight when the second legs of the remaining last 16 matches will be played. Lille will host Borussia Dortmund, Arsenal play PSV Eindhoven, Club Brugge face Aston Villa, while Real Madrid meet Atletico de Madrid, PSG, Inter Milan, Barcelona and Bayern Munich secured their quarterfinal places last night.
In Munich, you just feel at the moment that they're exerting an element of control on this game as it goes around the back, and it's in the back of the net. It's...
Very well, and before we call it a day, allow me to just spell out what the president is doing this day on day 3 of his president tour of Nairobi County. We'll be inspecting construction progress at the Ruta Market in Dagoretti South constituency. We have the Open Digital Innovation Hub at DCC Ground, Dagoretti South constituency as well. Commissioning of the DCC and Chiefs Camp at Dagoretti North constituency. The launch of the construction of classrooms at Gatina Primary School, Dagoretti North constituency. Kawangware Primary, Dagoretti North as well, launching construction of classes at Westlands Primary School in Westlands, as well as inspecting construction progress of the Kangemi Bridge that is in Westlands constituency. Many thanks indeed for joining us. A big team that makes sure that you have the best and the most updated news. Many thanks for everyone who participated in making this broadcast a success. My name is Njue. Lucy Mora has been my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Many thanks indeed for joining us. More news in our subsequent bulletin, but don't forget to check out our social media spaces as well. Have a good one.
Today, we're talking all about cutting-edge tech for blind and visually impaired people. Almost 300 million worldwide are affected, and most of them develop their condition over the course of their lives. So it could, in theory, affect anyone. But how can tech help? Let's find out on Shift. Imagine waking up one day to find your world looking something like this, or even like this. People with visual impairments see the world differently and often have to learn new ways of navigating it. They might rely on others or on tools like walking canes. Braille is also especially helpful. But recent advances in AI might add 1 or 2 more to that toolbox, like this very special guide dog. Robot dogs, soon to be taking the lead in the guide dog world. In theory, they can do just about everything their furry counterparts can. Only this quadruped doesn't get distracted. No brakes, and it can be shut off when not needed. Navigating via sensors and cameras, the RoboDog can even identify traffic lights.
I can tell the robot where I'm going via voice recognition. I can control the speed with this cane. If I need it to go faster, I just push it all the way forward. If I need it to slow down, I just pull it back and it will adjust its speed.
This could be a huge development for the blind in China.
There are only 400 guide dogs in service in China, but we have about 20 million blind people. It's impossible to solve this problem with guide dogs alone.
Research into robo-dogs for the blind isn't just exclusive to China, however. For researchers at the University of Glasgow in Scotland, their biggest challenge is navigation.
So how will robots find their way around? GPS is pretty reliable when outdoors, but problems arise inside buildings and confined spaces. So how can we solve this?
When we are developing something like this, it's a mixture of several things. We use computer vision, we use 3D technology where it scans the whole environment and it understands where each object, each pillar, each obstacle is, and it memorizes or remembers that.
This should enable robot dogs to guide people safely indoors, like in this museum, and even using speech.
We've integrated some large language models to this solution so it can have intelligent conversations.
So the robo-dog can answer questions about its surroundings, providing information about the route. And that's just the beginning.
We want to put this technology onto a wheeled robot. We also want to put this a normal humanoid robot and also such kind of dog robot so that the end user, they have different choices.
Whether robot guide dogs will catch on is not only a question of resolving the technical issues, but also about finding one to buy in the first place and how much they could cost. But there might be a cheaper and simpler option, and improving what's already available might be more viable in the short term.
It's time to update the classic white walking cane with the help of AI. Cutting-edge tech could be key in improving access for the visually impaired. Equipped with cameras and sensors, this AI cane from Glidance can guide users even along predefined routes. It recognises obstacles of all kinds and can even describe its surroundings acoustically. Walking speed can be set to suit individual needs. And according to its manufacturers, the AI smart cane from WeWalk recognises obstacles not only on the ground, but also at chest and height level. And with the accessible app, your cane can bring you to the nearest bus stop, and once there, it informs you which buses are leaving next. Once on board, it'll tell you when you've reached your final destination.
AI glasses like Orcam or Envision glasses also promise better navigation through everyday life for the visually impaired.
AI is great for people with visual impairments. It brings us closer to our goal and allows us new access to information. For example, people used to send memes to people with disabilities. And what could they do? Nothing, because they couldn't see them. But now AI allows us to read memes, to read text. It gives us image descriptions. It gives us descriptions of videos.
But he believes that this technology won't be widely available for some time to come.
Worldwide and in Colombia, a lot of people are unemployed. AI tools would be a huge help for people with disabilities. Many people with visual impairments are unemployed and don't have the financial means to buy a new device. So how can we buy these devices and how can we connect them to the internet? In Bogotá, the capital of Colombia, there's no neighborhood where you won't find an internet connection. But it's very different in rural areas.
It's not uncommon for AI models such as ChatGPT to be integrated here for recognizing the user's environment and helping them accordingly. Until now, that was often done by family members or human assistants. This next app brings these two approaches together.
Developers of Be My Eyes want to use a chatbot in their app. Users will be able to take a picture which is analysed and described with a bot based on ChatGPT. And if the AI gets stuck, real people can still be called in to help, as was the case before. The app allows blind people to request assistance. Be My Eyes sends a request to volunteers, matching language and time zones. The first volunteer to respond is connected to the person seeking help. The app then transmits video to the volunteer via the user's camera. This allows problems to be solved together, such as small tasks like reading out labels, helping with groceries, or even withdrawing cash from an ATM.
please. To the right-hand side.
Yep.
That's it. And at the top of the 4 buttons. So just
brilliant. There we go. I pressed the top one.
£20.
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. They don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
The 2 sessions, China's annual political season, brings together the country's lawmakers and political advisors to chart the way forward for the nation.
It captures global attention as geopolitical and economic tensions rise.
So what impact will this have on Africa?
We take an in-depth look at China's 2 sessions and explore what lies ahead for Africa.
Join us for a special program on CGTN and the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation.
Hujambo mpenzi mtazamaji, ni matumaini yangu kwamba ubuheri wa afya. Ni juma lingine tena tunapatana katika nyanja hii ya kilimo. Nyanja ambayo hukufunza wewe mbinu bora na za kisasa za kilimo na ufugaji. Jina langu ni Francis Ngala. Karibu tuambatane hadi tamati. Mtazamaji, watu wengi kutoka maeneo kame hususia sana kilimo, lakini kwa Dennis